Hello, if you could see out the window behind me, you'll see that the snow is falling. Doesn't the weather change in days? I think it's one of the things I like about this time of year. It's just like one minute I'm out there thinking, what am I going to plant in the garden? And the next minute I'm like doing a log fire and keep nice and warm. So anyway, today we're in John 11, chapter 11. We'll start looking through the chapter on the raising of Lazarus from the dead. And as we go through this, I'm actually not quite sure how far we'll get, whether we manage it all today. But going to focus on this. I find it quite interesting, actually, that in chapter 10, we've just gone through that where Jesus is talking to the Pharisees and bringing various challenges, and and where he lands at the end of the challenge is, even though you do not believe me, believe the works, that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I am in the Father. So he's been elevating the importance of the signs, the wonders, the miracles. And now we come into the story of Lazarus, and we're going to see a story which really elevates it to another level. So we'll have a look at see who his audience is here. If you remember as well, at the end of chapter 10, you got the people who'd heard John's teaching, and now we're responding to Jesus, and having heard Jesus' teaching and seen the miracles, they following him. So in John chapter 11, it starts off, now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and his sister Martha. This is Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick. So this Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So this is a family that Jesus knows well. He has a close relationship with them. They have that moment of intimacy where Mary had poured the perfume out, and so that's the picture that we have. And into this, in verse 3, it says, the sisters, they sent a message to Jesus, says, Lord, the one you love is sick. Now, even that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because they surely would have known that, well, they'd have been around the miracles, the signs, the wonders, and they've seen all that. And now, in this minute, they're calling out to Jesus. They're highlighting that Lazarus is sick. And they're highlighting it not in a dispassionate way, but they're highlighting it by saying, the one you love, the one you have this connection with, the one that's close to you, one that's intimate with you, he is sick. And even in that statement, we have something going on that's very different from the crowds, because Jesus definitely loved people in the crowds, but this adds this dimension of intimacy, of closeness, that sense of belonging together. And they don't demand that Jesus heals him. They highlight that he loves him. And I think they have caught something that is at the heart of the gospel. Yes, Jesus heals. Yes, Jesus sets people free. But the heart of the gospel is love. And I would suggest that the sisters they've gone beyond that out a bit, and they're highlighting that inner world of love, of care, and everything else. So Jesus' response. So remember, this response isn't to the sisters, because they're not there. They've sent word. And it says, but when Jesus heard this, so what's he heard? He's heard the one you love is sick. He said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it's for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. So Jesus, going back to the previous conversations we had in chapter 10, he knows this is a moment where God will be glorified through a miracle. But more than that, you know, that Jesus as his son be glorified through it as well. It carries on. It says, now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So the sisters have sent out that message, this is the one you love. Now we have it reiterated here. This is a family that are really, really important to Jesus. And that, I wonder what's going on inside him. I think with Jesus, remember he's human. He's God, but he's living in a human body. There must have been that internal concern. I need to get to Lazarus. I need to be there. I need to be with him. I need to be with Martha. I need to be with Mary. I need to be, let's say these people are like family to him. I need to be with these people, that are like family. But it says, so when Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed there for 2 more days. What's going on there? And you got this sense that Jesus, this is one of those moments, Jesus isn't following that natural. Phone's ringing. Well, sorry about that. That turned out to be a very long pause. That's called waiting for business banking. And having been waiting for hours, I couldn't afford to miss that call. Anyway, that's sorted out. So back on to John 11. I'm refocused. Hopefully you haven't lost yours. Just picking up in verse 5, it says, Jesus loved Martha, his sister, and Lazarus. And I was just picking up about how much he loved them, he cared for them. And yet, when he hears Lazarus is sick, he stays there for 2 more days. And you're like, as I was saying, that must take so much self-control and everything else not to race in and rush in. But Jesus is a man who is totally walking in step with the Father and the purposes of the Father. And so then he turns to his disciples and he says, let's go back to Judea. He's waited, having heard 2 days. Now, it probably made sense, for his disciples that he wasn't heading back, because their response was, when he says, let's go back to Judea, so a short time ago, the Jews were trying to stone you, and yet you're going back. So probably when he didn't go back and hesitated, from the disciples' angle, it's like, we're glad. But from the other end, he's got friends waiting for him. And Jesus' response, he says, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. And so Jesus again is bringing that heavenly focus. He's saying, hey, we need to walk by the Spirit, really. That's the essence. Walk by the light of the Father. And if you don't, then you'll fall. And Jesus, he's not walking in fear. He's willing to go back to where he came from, though there was a threat to his life. Why? Because he's walking in confidence in the Holy Spirit. And I must admit, I've met 1 or 2 people over the years. I'm just like, your confidence in the Holy Spirit in critical situations is amazing. And it's something that we can grow and mature in. Well, I'm actually going to stop there, and next time we'll pick up the whole bit about Lazarus and what happens then. I think that's going to take too long, so we'll split this over 2 sessions. Okay, sorry for that interruption in the middle. Hopefully the bank are now happy. Hopefully you're happy as well, having enjoyed this. So bless you, and pray that you have a good day. Bye for now.